Hello, Deck It Out DIYers. This is our adult box this month, and I'm going to start with our Thanksgiving November project. So for this project, you'll have your large hanging pennant. You will have the hat. This little piece came out of the L, so I'm repurposing that. So when you pull your letters out and stick them to the tape, keep the inside because that is what we're going to use as our beak. If you don't want to use it as the beak, you can always paint one on yourself if you'd like, or you could find some felt to put on to add a little bit more dimension. You'll have your turkey body, and then this big piece will be the turkey feathers from behind, okay? So make sure you have all your parts. Bring your letters out of their cutout and put them on your tape. We'll talk about how to paint with this. You'll have a variety of colors included in your kit. There's a lot of opportunity in this box to mix and blend colors, and you'll see us doing that throughout this tutorial. You'll also have white sponges and a few yellow sponges, and then of course glue. I also always have on hand baby wipes and an X-Acto knife, and we will give you a detail brush, but if you have a toothpick or something else that you might want to use for small details, have those on hand as well. Let's start in on this project. Okay, we're gonna start by painting the large pennant. I'm going to use my large sponge, and I would like my background to be white. And I'm thinking I'm gonna add a dusting of rustic to the edges, but I will do that after I paint it all white. So grab your sponge, put some paint on it, okay? And then I'm just gonna make sure I pull it off the sides like this, okay? Because the sides, I don't have to worry about painting unless you want to, because they're a nice clean black edge right now, okay? So just load up your sponge, paint to your liking. You're gonna paint right over those letters that are at the top. I would just encourage you to keep an eye on where they are, because we're going to take our words and we're gonna glue them on top of those lines. And that's just so we don't have to work too hard on getting them centered or placed in a spot that is equal distance from the edges. Okay, so continue this, and then I'll check back in with you when I start doing a little bit of the edging. Okay, last part. Take your twine, you'll put this however you want to tie it. So you could pull it through and knot it if you want. You could pull it to the back and put a knot. That's what I'm going to do, is pull it to the back and put a knot. Or you could have the knot in the front. But either way, just pull it through, secure it in some fashion. And then your first project for your Deck It Out adult box for November and December is complete. Love it. Can't wait to see yours posted in the group. Hey, Deck It Out DIYers. This is part 2 of your adult kit. So we're gonna look at how to create the set of 5 trees. So in your kit, you will have 5 trees, and they will have 2 parts, okay? Because the trees are reversible. So this will be one of the trees. Match it up with its matching overlay. This tree has an overlay, so leopard and this fun pattern. This tree does not have an overlay. This is one that you will Mod Podge on. Or if you're not interested in the pattern paper that was in your pack, you could just paint it and add any sort of details that you would like. This tree is the plaid, and then it's a solid, so we will Mod Podge on this one. And then this really fun tree with the design on the back. So you have 5 trees, you have your base, and then you'll have an assortment of paper, and then you will have paint colors. sponges and glue. So what you can do is you can glue your base together. Just line up the slots, glue it together. I have it glued together so that it's ready when we're done. You can paint this if you want. You don't have to. It's up to you. So lots of choices in this project, but we'll get started. Okay, I'm going to show you how to paint these pattern sides. So I'm going to start by painting this one. Take your white sponge, dip it in the paint, and you really don't want a lot of paint at all for this, because the more paint you put in, the more you'll fill in those lines. So just take and lightly dab and just kind of work the paint. But again, you don't want a lot so that you don't fill in those spaces. I'm just gonna paint mine a solid color on the back, and I'll be mixing and matching. So some of the trees that I mix it with will be the ones with overlays. Okay, and the overlay trees you're gonna be able to do a little bit more with. Now you could come back through and paint the engraved lines. You could really make this pattern stand out if you wanted to come back and trace in some of those lines or add other little details. But I'm just gonna dab the paint. Again, not a lot of paint, a little bit of dab, and you'll continue painting your tree this way. Okay, so for these trees with overlays, paint the background, paint this separate, so lay them in 2 separate spots. You'll just be painting, I think I'm gonna do white behind. So when I paint, put some paint on, and I'm gonna pull it off the edge because I wanna try to keep my edges clean. So I put a little bit of paint on there, and I'm just gonna smooth that out. And so you'll do that on the one, and then on the other, take your sponge, load it with paint, unload it, and then you'll dab, not using a ton of paint again, just dab it out just evenly until you achieve the color and the coverage that you want. Okay, let's talk about using the paper to Mod Podge onto your cutout. So you're gonna take your tree, kind of find where it will fit. I'm gonna scoot it over to the edge just so I have less waste, so I can use this paper again if I want. Now I'm gonna Mod Podge it onto this tree because this is gonna be the overlay. So I'm gonna take generous amounts of Mod Podge and put it on my tree here. Okay, so you want to generous amounts. Make sure you get into the corners and the cracks, and I'm just using a sponge, a white sponge, and as you can see, there's drips of Mod Podge. I want to be generous with it because this is what is adhering the paper to the wood. Okay, I also want to make sure, okay, I'm generous, but I'm also smoothing it out. Okay, you don't want puddles, you want smoothed out generous amounts. Okay, now when you're ready, this is kind of tricky because it's curled. When you get your paper, it shouldn't be as curled as mine because we'll put it on the bottom of your box. But you're gonna line it up at the bottom, you're gonna line it up at the top, and then you'll want it to sit there and kind of adhere. And I'm pushing down firmly on this part. On this side, I'm just gonna check that it's all nice and smooth. You want it smooth, of course. Now you're gonna want it to dry, so give it some time to dry, and then we'll come back, and then I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, and I'm just gonna cut it off with the X-Acto knife. I'm gonna come down, and then I will come out, and then I will come down, and then I will come out. So you wanna make sure that you're cutting really close to your tree. And again, you can finish this up once it has had some time to dry. That is what I would recommend. So I will finish this little line right here. and then I'm gonna leave it. I will come back when it's dry and I will cut out the rest. Once you have painted or glued this down with Mod Podge, you can paint your overlay any color you'd like, and then that will get glued on top. Now, Mod Podge is something that dries clear, so if you want to, you can take it and you can go right over the paper. It kind of just gives it a nice coat to protect it. You'll also want to check that all of your edges are glued down with the Mod Podge before you glue your overlay onto it. So feel free to put this on if you want. You don't have to, but it will just keep the paper nice and clean and coated. So sometimes you get more ripples when you do this. So you guys can take, you can make your decision on that. I am going to, just because it's out here in the shop with me, now I got a little red on there, but I'm gonna put that on, and then once it dries, I am gonna put my overlay on, and I think, oh, so cute, you guys. So you're going to repeat this process on the rest of your trees. I'll touch up that green. On the rest of your trees, determine which ones you want to have the paper back, which ones you want to have the painted background, and then you just go to town, mixing and matching. So lots of different options on this one. And then, as like I said before, you can paint this base if you would like. So we'll check back at the end of the video. Well, there you have it, your box. I am so excited to see the combinations of paint colors and paper that you used in this project. I thought this project was so fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And now once my base is dry, I'll be able to insert my trees and arrange them with whichever patterns. This would be really fun on a table, or any hallway or place where you have it reversible, where you see both sides, or just being able to switch it out is also a really fun thing. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope you had a great time with your Deck It Out adult box.